The government says inflation is under control. The Fed says mission accomplished. Wall Street had its best quarter in years. So why does it feel like everything is still getting more expensive? Here's something they haven't told you clearly. Inflation being lower does not mean prices went down. It means they're rising slower. Those prices from 2021, 2022, 2023, they are locked in. That is your new normal. And right now, on top of that already elevated baseline, there are 5 separate forces actively pushing prices even higher, most of which have nothing to do with your spending habits. One of them started making headlines just months ago, and almost nobody in personal finance is connecting it properly to your cost of living. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly how a decision made in Washington travels through a boardroom in Shanghai, lands inside a shipping container in the Pacific, and ends up as a higher number on your receipt. And more importantly, you're going to know what to actually do about it. Let's get into it. I'm not here to scare you or tell you the economy is falling apart. What I am going to do is connect dots that don't usually get connected. Government policy, corporate boardrooms, global supply chains, and show you exactly how they land on your budget. Because when you understand the why, the what to do becomes much clearer. 5 layers, let's build it. The Fed's victory was always incomplete. Sticky inflation is real. When the Fed started aggressively raising interest rates in 2022, the goal was clear: crush inflation. And they did, partially. CPI dropped from over 9% in June 2022 down to around 3%. The Fed called it a win. But here's what nobody explained clearly. There are 2 kinds of inflation. There's transitory inflation, prices that spike and come back down. Used cars, lumber, gas. That behaved, it came down. Then there's sticky inflation, prices that go up and do not come back. Rent, insurance, childcare, services, prices baked into leases, contracts, labor agreements. Rent is still running above 5% annually in most major US cities. Auto insurance is up over 20% from pre-pandemic levels. Childcare up 32% since 2019. Inflation is under control means the rate of increase slowed. The prices themselves, they stayed. They always stay. That $4 carton of eggs from 2020, it's $6 to $7 now. That's the new floor. The Fed won the sprint, but you're still paying for the race. This is the layer most channels are either skipping or oversimplifying. So let's be precise. In early 2025, the US imposed sweeping tariffs as high as 145% on Chinese imports at their peak, plus significant tariffs on dozens of other countries under the reciprocal tariff framework. A tariff sounds like a policy word. Here's what it actually is: a tax paid by American importers, passed almost entirely to you. Here's the chain. A company imports a blender from China for $30. A 100% tariff means they now pay $60 to bring it in. Do they absorb that? Almost never. It goes on the price tag. You pay it. Electronics, clothing, furniture, tools, toys. Categories where 60 to 80% of what Americans buy comes from tariff-affected countries. Tariffs may have long-term industrial logic, maybe, but in the next 12 to 24 months, you pay more. That's not opinion, that's how the math works. This is a brand new layer of price pressure landing on top of already elevated sticky inflation, and most people have no idea it's happening to them. Gridflation. The part corporations don't want you to notice. This one gets political fast, so I want to be precise about what the data actually shows. During the inflation surge of 2021 to 2023, corporate profit margins in food, energy, and consumer staples hit record highs. There's a term for this: seller's inflation. When everyone expects prices to rise, companies use that cover to raise prices beyond their actual cost increases. If your supplier raises your costs 5%, you're justified raising prices 5%. But in an inflationary environment, you can raise it 12%, and customers assume it's just the economy. You pocket the difference. The Kansas City Fed found that in some consumer goods sectors, profit margin expansion accounted for more than half of price increases, more than actual cost pass-through. Competition is supposed to fix this, but when 3 or 4 companies control most of a grocery category, cereal, snacks, beverages, price competition is limited. Not every price increase is greed, but some of it, you're funding a stock buyback, worth knowing. Wages in America are up. Average hourly earnings running around 4% growth annually. In hospitality, healthcare, retail, workers got significant raises over 3 years. That's genuinely good, but it created a feedback loop. When a restaurant pays kitchen staff $20 an hour instead of $13, your meal costs more. When trucking companies raise driver pay to compete for workers, shipping costs rise, and that ripples into everything that moves by truck, which is almost everything you buy. Economists call it a wage price spiral. Wages up, prices up to cover wages. Workers need more wages to afford prices. Repeat. Here's the painful math though. Real wages, adjusted for inflation, only recently returned to 2019 levels for most Americans. The housing multiplier. How a shortage drives up everything else. This is the deepest structural issue, and it connects to every other layer. Since 2008, the US has underbuilt by an estimated 3.8 to 5 million housing units. That's a shortage that took 15 years to build and will take at least a decade to fix. Mortgage rates above 6.5% mean people who want to buy can't. They stay renters. Demand for rentals stays high. Rents don't fall. But housing doesn't just hit your rent check. When shelter takes 40 or 50% of someone's take-home pay, every other budget category gets squeezed. Food, transportation, savings, everything. And one more thing. Those tariffs on Canadian lumber and construction materials, building our way out of this shortage, just got more expensive too. 5 forces, all active, all connected, all landing on the same place. Your cost of living. Now the part that matters, what do you actually do with this? Move 1. Attack sticky spending. First, pull up your last 3 months of bank statements and look at 2 things specifically: insurance, home, auto, renters. This is negotiable more than people realize. Call and ask for a loyalty discount or get 3 competing quotes. People who shop their insurance annually save $400 to $600 a year on average. That's a real number. Subscriptions. Every streaming service, app, gym membership that quietly raised prices. Cancel anything you haven't actively used in 60 days. Start here. This is the fastest money you can recover. Move 2. Use the tariff timeline as a buying signal. Tariffed goods are getting more expensive as current inventory sells through and gets replaced by higher cost imports. If you're planning to buy a major appliance, electronics, tools, or furniture in the next year, buy sooner. Existing inventory was imported before the tariff increases. Once it's gone, replacement stock will be priced higher. Also worth researching. American-made alternatives in categories you buy often. 4. Price stability. Domestic goods don't fluctuate with tariff policy. Move 3. Bulk buy non-perishables strategically. This is not doomsday prepping. This is math. The average household spends $400 to $600 more per year buying things at full retail price versus buying on sale in moderate bulk. Canned goods, toiletries, cleaning supplies, coffee, buy ahead when prices are low. In an inflationary environment, locking in today's price is a legitimate financial move. Move 4. Ask for a raise. Seriously, right now. If you haven't renegotiated your compensation in the last 18 months, you've effectively taken a pay cut. Inflation running at 3 to 5% annually means your real income has declined without anyone telling you. Data point. Employees who ask for raises receive them roughly 70 to 80% of the time in a competitive labor market. Most people simply never ask. The cost of asking is zero. The cost of not asking compounds every month. Move 5. Keep investing, but stop letting cash sit idle. Hoarding cash in a 0.1% savings account while inflation runs at 3% means you are losing purchasing power every single month while feeling financially responsible. High-yield savings accounts are still yielding 4 to 5% as of this video. Index funds have historically outpaced inflation over any 10-year window. I-bonds were designed specifically for inflationary periods. Doing nothing with your money is not playing it safe. It is a slow, invisible loss. Here's the honest summary. Prices are not high because of one thing. 5 forces: sticky inflation, tariffs, corporate margin expansion, wage pass-through, and the housing shortage are all running simultaneously. The people responsible for fixing each one have different incentives and different timelines. No single policy fixes all of it. But you now understand the system better than most people walking around. And that's not a small thing. The moves exist. The information is there. The gap is usually just knowing where to look. If this video connected dots that weren't connected for you before, share it with one person. That's the whole ask. Subscribe to Dollar&Demand for this kind of breakdown every week. Whether the government policy meets your actual wallet. And tell me in the comments, which of these 5 forces is hitting your budget hardest right now? I read every single one. See you in the next one.